Hello there, and welcome to the Obi-Wan Kenobi discussion on Fake Nerds Watch, where we're talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi limited series on Disney+. I'm Sparkz Witty. I'm joined, of course, by Ryan Eliopoulos.
The boy must be trained.
And Brandon T. McClure.
I don't have a quote.
And we're having a great time. We're here without Ben Magnet because schedules were a pain, but he'll be with us for the next Kenobi discussion.
It's true.
So I thought I'd homage him because we all know that's exactly how he would have opened this episode. Is
yeah.
There.
Hello there.
He also might have done a long time ago in the galaxy far, far away.
No, I'm pretty sure he would have gone for the hello there for this one because he would feel like that was tired.
That's true. That's true.
So we're talking about
real quick. Ewan McGregor has been doing obviously lots of interviews. Somebody asked him, "How many hello there's have you gotten during an interview?" He's like, "Every single one." Every single one. I think he might be tired of it, but I'm not. I can never get tired of it.
By the way, I love, just before we get into the discussion, I love the love that they're getting at Hayden, that Hayden and Ewan are getting at Celebration.
Sure.
When Celebration said, when he said, "This is where the fun begins," at Celebration, the whole crowd erupted. I was like, oh, my heart.
Yeah, it is, regardless of how you feel about those movies, it is nice that, like, upon, time gone by, that, like, it does have its fans, and they certainly didn't feel the love that they do now. So it's like, it also helps that they have, like, a pretty cool show that they get to do. That's not just like a prequel movie.
Anyway.
Because realistically, no matter how you feel about the prequels, they weren't the problem.
Oh, yeah.
No.
They weren't the problem. No.
Anyway, we're going to talk about the first two episodes, which are, all the episodes seem to be titled just parts. So this is part 1 and part 2.
It's a long movie.
I really liked it a lot. I suspect that everybody did.
I hated it.
I was shocked today. It took till today for me to start to see people being like, "I don't like this Kenobi show," and I'm like, I don't. All right.
Yeah, I also really liked it. I don't think it's perfect, but of the Disney of the Star Wars shows, like, this is definitely the strongest opening for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Like, we're only 2 episodes in, and I kind of felt the same way about Strange New Worlds when that dropped its first episode. Like, I was like, oh, this is what I wanted. This is what you're giving me. I like when you announced Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was like, I feel bad having to say this, but like, after Book of Boba Fett, there was like a list of like boxes that I was like, you need to check these boxes or I'm out. Because after Boba Fett, I was really burned.
Mm-hmm.
So
and especially with a character like Obi-Wan, like, you don't want them to screw this one up.
Right. And so, like, Obi-Wan is my favorite character. Well, Qui-Gon is not my favorite movie character. Doesn't matter. I like Jedi. So, like, Obi-Wan is one of my favorite characters in all of Star Wars, and Ewan McGregor is one of my favorite actors in the Star Wars franchise. So I'm like, if you screw this up, I'm out. And when we started, I was like, oh, this is exactly what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really happy with it.
My trepidation going into it was that ever since they announced it was going to be a show, I still remained of like, I feel like a movie would have been better.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is one of those times where I'm like, I would have preferred an Obi-Wan movie. And I feel, because I just wanted the story to have like the movie attention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I feel like these episodes are of movie quality. I think that they're, as far as like how they're made, I think that they're putting the kind of work into it that they would put in one of the Star Wars movies. So I'm like, oh, I guess it's okay. That does bring me around to like, what we're seeing right now does make me feel like this whole story probably could have been a film.
Going off more interviews again, because like every time one of these things comes out, I love watching interviews to get the behind the scenes, like, minutia of it. It was a movie for Ewan. For many years, it was a movie. And then once it hit the Disney Plus route, they turned it into a show. And his marketing thing of like, oh, it feels like a long movie, which we'll see if that ends up being a hindrance once we get further on, obviously, as a lot of these shows end up being. But
we
so
had
feels like a nice contained chapter of a show.
I don't mind revealing this bit of information because now the show's out and it's been a number of years, but we knew this was a movie. Our friend Ken Knapsack knew that they were going to announce the movie, the celebration, after Solo, but Solo scared them away from doing another movie. And remember, they were also going to announce the James Mangold Boba Fett movie.
Right.
And so like so this story, not this story specifically, but a Obi-Wan Solo story has existed since 2017 and has now evolved into what we're seeing on Disney Plus.
Right. And we know that this has gone through a lot of iterations of writers and things like that. My point being more that this is not episodic. Like, we're watching episodes, but it's not an episodic show. It's not even close to the kind of, like, Mandalorian has an overarching narrative, but there's still like you feel like how this needs to be episodes rather
like a
than
monster of the week.
This is a movie that's just rolling on through. At least that's what it feels like so far. I don't have a problem with it because I also don't feel like they're stretching it. I feel like yeah, but right now I'm sitting at, I feel like you can probably get by with this as a 6 episode. I don't think we're going to feel the Marvel thing of like, oh, why didn't you just make this movie? I don't think this is going to feel stretched.
I agree. Also, and I think, Deborah Chow is directing all 6 episodes. So it is her singular vision. Not that the others haven't had something like a showrunner, but like, this is her show. This isn't like The Mandalorian where 7 different people work on it. Like, this is her show because they loved what she did on Mandalorian. So above anything, at least we'll know it'll be tonally the same. It'll probably look the same. So like, I already feel so much better about this show than a lot of the other shows we've seen.
I think importantly, what I'm looking forward to is whatever we're going to get of, I don't want to get too far ahead of it, but like whatever we're going to get of Anakin, because I think that's what you don't get if it's a movie.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be valuable here to be left in. So we'll see.
There's something that I noticed going back to what Ryan said about like Deborah Chow. There's something that I noticed about Deborah Chow's directing style in her episode of The Mandalorian that I really like that she brought over to this entire show, which is how alive the show feels. You know, the show has a similar feeling that people notice when like the first clip of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was dropping, where it's just like, oh, this feels alive in a way that I haven't quite seen in a long time. There's a lot of activity happening on Tatooine. There's a lot of people walking around doing their lives. Like you feel that this is a real world.
Sure.
And it's such an interesting, I think, it's funny. Like we saw the trailer for Andor, and Andor is not using the volume, and you can tell. Now that you know what it is, you can tell, oh, you can't have as many extras on the volume as a regular set. That's something that the volume does limit, is like the amount of people to make it seem like a big realistic set. So like they were able to do it in this in Obi-Wan, I think, pretty well. Because again, like this time period, it's like Tatooine, it's not as, let's see, no, it's still the crime capital of the world, whatever, but like the Empire isn't as hasn't made it so much worse yet as I see in like A New Hope, right? Like it keeps just getting worse and worse because of the Empire. So like having that many people, it kind of feels like a lived-in city before the Empire truly destroyed it in a way. You know what I mean?
Well, it's like the one person said where it's like, this is the Outer Rim. The Empire doesn't have real jurisdiction or give a shit here. Like they don't even really come out here very often, except they're here looking for a Jedi.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
And by the way, great misdirect. There's a lot of misdirects in the trailers that really pointed to a different show.
Right.
Oof. Yes.
And I didn't know that the Inquisitors were looking for a different Jedi.
The marketing, some of the best. I like the trailers, but some of the best not showing you what the show's about, because all of the trailers have been just the first 2 episodes, which is so exciting, especially with the reveal at the end of episode 2, like what we see, because there's been, again, Hayden Christensen is in every press tour. Like he's a main character of the show. And I was not convinced. I really thought it was going to be, he's in a show for 10 minutes and they're just glorifying Hayden. At this point, I don't think that's the point anymore. I think he is fully going to be in the show. We are going to see more ugly, spooky Vader than we've ever seen before. That last shot of episode 2, man, gave it to me. I was like, yeah, oh shit. In a way, like, I still didn't feel like Hayden was back yet. Until I saw his eyeballs, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, baby, that feels good." Yeah,
there was a sense that I felt there was a sense of dread that I felt in the first episode when we go to Alderaan, and I had this moment where I was like, because that's not in the trailer, I did not expect to go to Alderaan. And hindsight, really happy we did. But
Yeah.
like when that first happened, I was like, oh shit, is this a Din Djarin and Boba Fett situation? Are we just going to do are we just going to do a side story that has nothing to do with the main plot? Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And I'm really happy now that we've done that. I've watched it twice now. We're like, now going to Alderaan, I'm like, oh shit, this is about Leia.
I want to bounce off that because like that was definitely like after the first scene where we go to Alderaan, I'm like, okay, because Jimmy Smits is here, so we're getting just like a little nugget of like more background with Jimmy Smits, like fleshing out his relationship with Obi-Wan. This makes sense. Leia will eventually call on him because they're friends. Cool. Then we meet little Leia, and I'm like, where's this going?
Yeah, where's this going?
Is this just fluff? Is she just here to show us young Leia?
Yeah.
Like what is this? And then it's like, no. Once you see like the guy watching her, it's like, oh,
you mean Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
I see. Okay. Yeah. And it became very clear very quickly, like she's gonna get taken, and that's what makes Obi-Wan get off the planet. No shit. That's cool.
Because you have to have a good reason why Obi-Wan would leave the planet. And Bail Organa begging for his help is a good reason.
And it's one of those things where so many people, like I saw it pretty early, Sparkz, and like from my timeline, I found that pretty shocking. So a lot of people are like, why is Leia in this show? This is going to be another Boba Fett show, and I'm like, y'all, like you got to be Star Wars fans, like right, like Leia, like she calls Obi-Wan Kenobi in A New Hope. That's the whole thing. Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope. How does she know him? We don't know that story. This is so perfect. This is one of those times where like the things line up to actually make sense. Like doing the story makes sense.
That's one of the things that I really liked about this is that a lot of the time I feel this way about Star Wars. Not always, but a lot of the time I feel like most of these things are additive to the movies. And this is a case where this story feels additive to the movies, not just the original trilogy, but Solo. Rogue One. In Rogue One, when Jimmy Smits is there and he's like, I would trust this person with my life. I've got a friend. We're gonna go get that friend because we see the moment where he's like, I'm gonna send Leia to Tatooine to find Obi-Wan.
Right.
We now have better context for that because like it's cool that in Revenge of the Sith that like they're like, oh yeah, Bail, you're my best friend, but like we get such a really good point of view of Jimmy Smits of Organa and Obi-Wan being like, no, they are friends. And not only are they friends, but they've talked to each other. They've talked to each other in the time since. Maybe not frequently, but sometimes they will check in on each other, I'm sure.
Yeah,
right.
The thing that I've grown to like super love, even just the beginning of the show, is it's something that like people focus on Luke so much, and it is 100% true. Leia is just as important. She is a twin, and I think so much of not even to like George Lucas didn't mean to, but like she kind of like she isn't as well. No, she's important in that trilogy, but she's not like Luke, right? Like she is kind of like the sister that he kisses in a way.
Luke's the chosen one.
Yeah, and like she has the Force. She is a Jedi, and it's like all that stuff is like, oh man, Leia is important. And when Bail says it's not just about Luke, she's just as important to this legacy. And I'm like, oh my god, that is so true. That is so true. And that is so cool. Also, it helps that like the little girl's awesome. I think she's great. Fun. Kid actors, I get it. I think she's a hoot. She's a hoot.
It helps a lot that she's good.
Yeah.
Because this could have gone south easily. As Leia just coming off like a smart ass little kid and just like eye-rollingly annoying.
Yeah.
With how like just stuck up she could be, right?
When she says cousin, just ooh.
That easily could have gone wrong where you just don't like her, but this girl is so good, and the writing is just right that I'm just like, yeah, you go, little Leia. Like they had to get that so correct, or this was not going to work.
Yeah, and I can even see people just being annoyed because it's like a young kid actor doing their thing, but like. That's also Princess Leia. She's a smart ass, and she's gonna tell you what for. And like, I'm sure if like her parent was Jimmy Smits her entire life, and like, yeah, that dude's kind of smart, alecky too. Yeah, I get it. It makes sense.
Right. I loved, by the way, just like going back to like more of Alderaan, like I loved seeing Jimmy Smits again. I always love seeing him as Bail Organa. I'm so excited that he gets to be in the show. I did not know he was going to be in the show.
Yeah.
And when we go to Alderaan and there's Brea, and I'm like, oh shit, what show am I watching?
And it just reminds me of like, oh yeah, in 10 years, Leia's gonna watch that planet get destroyed.
Yeah.
Damn.
But when Bale's like, that's something really stupid. But when Bale's like, you're gonna be someday this planet's going to look to you, Leia. I turned to Zara and it just goes.
Don't say that. Don't say that, Bale. You don't know.
There
But
goes the planet.
it's really good to get the development of Alderaan. Just like getting a little more experience with the place is going to make A New Hope feel more impactful over the course of time. But I really like also just getting a view of wealth again. It's not a view we get a lot in Star Wars. It's one of the reasons why like people can have their issues, but I think the Canto Bight scene is particularly cool in The Last Jedi, is just because you don't usually see how the wealthy are doing in Star Wars, but they're doing quite well. And seeing that here is really nice too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you get the mention when they're just like, hey, now that ever since the debacle with the Republic, now the Empire is finally lining our pockets. And it's like, well, there's still work to be done. I'm not here to talk about work, Bale. I'm here to eat your food.
No, specifically, he's like, I'm not here to free slaves, Bale. I'm here to make money.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. The thing that I love, we had a mini discussion on the last podcast about Daredevil coming to Netflix and talking about maturity. And maturity doesn't just mean like sex and violence.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I was hoping the Obi-Wan show would feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because Obi-Wan is really sad. He's in a sad, bad place. And if it was going to be like Boba Fett then I just been like, can we just lean into something real for once, please? And the opening scene is Order 66. And I'm like, Jesus, like, all right. So Deborah Chow said, yeah, I wanted it, like, the closest comparison I can make is like Logan. And when I heard that, I was like, there's no way this is like Logan. This is Disney Plus. There's no way. I saw like a veteran asking for help and like children getting murdered and like Obi-Wan crying. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you, Disney. When I ask for something, sometimes you give it to me. Because like they treated this with the respect and like the sadness that it warrants. Because like Obi-Wan's a sad piece of shit. Like real talk. And it's really cool to see him.
The amount of time that people tell him he stinks.
Yeah, he's stinky. The little Jawa stinky.
There's the thing that I really like about this show that I immediately grabbed onto, which is that it's The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's basically it's Obi-Wan's The Last Jedi. Yeah. And I love The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. And so like we're getting a lot of those same beats again where it's this hero that we know he's broken. He turns away a Jedi who's asking for help.
Yeah, that's
of the what I assume was one of the younglings that escaped.
Probably.
At the beginning.
Oh, we'll talk more about that with another character as well later.
Yeah.
When he says one of my favorite scenes of this is when that Jedi comes to him in the desert and he's like, "You need to help me." And he's like, "You've got the wrong person. I'm not that." And it's like, "But what about the fight?" There is no fight. Yeah. Bury your lightsaber. Try to live a normal life.
One of the Safdie brothers, who made Good Time and Uncut Gems. Love seeing famous.
No
actors.
Shit.
Yeah, just random famous people again flee from the Chili Peppers. It's always fun seeing just random people show up. I'm like, man, acting's fun sometimes.
Like Star Wars always gets these people to just kind of just do a role every now and then.
Everyone loves Star Wars,
but I think I do think it's really nice because there's an amount of like. You have to do something right now that we're doing the story. You have to do something to get Obi-Wan from where we see him at the end of Revenge of the Sith, which is kind of giving you the implication of like he's on the path to he can be the guy you saw in episode 4, but like really it's like 20 years of separation. Some shit's gonna happen. He's pretty depressed by the end of episode 3. I mean, he just had to have a meeting about what to do about the twins while still in the clothes that he was wearing when he beat his buddy into the lava. So I mean,
there's something to be said. Oh, sorry, go
ahead. So you get to here, and Obi-Wan doesn't have hope, and Obi-Wan, even though he's protecting Luke, doesn't have hope, and so you have to get Obi-Wan to the other side of that to make it so that you get to episode 4, and that's who he is. He's this person who actually believes in the twins, believes in the change that's possible, is waiting for the sign, And you have to, it behooves them that they never did this in comics or anything. Obi-Wan assumes that Anakin died at the end of episode 3 and doesn't know that Darth Vader kept living. And Darth Vader is looking for Obi-Wan, and it makes sense that he would be looking for Obi-Wan. So them needing to come to head again makes sense.
Yeah.
So can I talk about that?
Sure.
I know it's a second episode reveal, but so in the original expanded universe, that was the case. That was the case that Obi-Wan didn't know that that Anakin had lived. As far as he was concerned, he had killed Anakin. And that was one of my that was one of my boxes that I wanted to check. Like, if we're coming in here and Obi-Wan knows that Anakin's alive, I don't love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure I could be okay with it, but I don't love that idea. But having the thing be that he believes that he killed his best friend, his brother, driving his regret when he has the dream flashbacks where he's just like reliving the moments. Wonderful stuff. I was so happy to see that sort of thing. It sounds so great. It sounds so weird. I'm so happy to see how sad Obi-Wan is.
No, I'm 100%. I agree with you, because like that is a part of the character. He lived alone for 20 years. That's not a happy situation.
Yeah, and so
I
live
in that.
I think what a compelling story is and I've always had this idea ever since we first heard about what this movie could have been, what the original movie was, where it's the idea that like Obi-Wan finds out that Anakin is alive and then decides to try to bring him back, try to bring Anakin out of Vader. And that's something that I always thought was powerful. And when you're telling me that Vader is going to be in this show, that's the only way that I can see that justification. And I'm really happy that that's here.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. It's without, now that we're here, this like obviously is super important to Obi-Wan's trajectory. Cause like you just talked about Sparkz. Like if this doesn't happen with Leia and like re-meeting Anakin and stuff, then Obi-Wan might not be in the same place to help Luke in 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Like he didn't have that Leia experience. So at this point, like if he stayed in that depression for 10 more years, he might not even be useful. And that's a whole nother universe we have to worry about, that Darth Vader wins and shit. That's fascinating. So like having Leia be like the thing that brings him back to the light is so beautiful. It's that is Star Wars. This is the one time where the romance and like the poetry intertwines, and I'm like, nah, man, it actually makes sense. Because like Obi-Wan is tied to these people like forever. The Force wills it, basically.
This has my kind of danced around it a bit, but like just kind of put this is one of my favorite things that I've ever seen, and I see it every now and then. Like the Marvel shows have done it. Star Trek did it, where it's like last time on Star Wars, and it's just the prequel trilogy.
Oh my god, yeah, it's like last time on this television show.
And I thought that was great because like I
wanted
wonderful.
a quick montage of like Clone Wars best buddy moments.
Me too.
I was really hoping, but with another character that we'll talk about, I don't think they don't care much about that shit.
Yeah. I think that I was really hoping for like some Clone Wars stuff because like, but the idea is that you wanted to be like, hey, remember Ewan McGregor? Yeah. But when there was something that I was kind of hoping for, like really hoping for, was that maybe Qui-Gon doesn't show up in the show, but that we do get a sense that he is trying to contact Qui-Gon. And we got the recap, and it's just like, I'll teach you how to commune with Qui-Gon.
Yeah, they hit that really hard. Like that's the last thing that comes up in the recap, and I'm like,
he's in the show. That line is there for a reason.
But even if he wasn't, I'm still happy to see. Like, I won't be disappointed if he doesn't show up, because I'm happy to see that he is trying to commune with him. He is trying to be like, Qui-Gon, I could really use your help right now.
It feels like, again, we don't have enough information. It feels like he was on the path of that training and then just got lost, and now he's like, Master, you there, Master? And like, no, all right, bud, you have to go through you have to live with this your whole life before I can talk to you.
And it could be interesting because he keeps talking about like when he wakes up, we get the sense that like he wakes up from this nightmare and he calls for Qui-Gon, and what you can extrapolate from that is kind of that he has been trying for 10 years to contact his master. He has been told by Yoda it's possible, but he can't do it. And so he's now gotten to the point where he doesn't feel like it's possible, but he keeps reaching out. He keeps trying to hope that Qui-Gon will answer.
He's like disconnected from the Force a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you even see that when like Leia falls and he's like, oh, I have to really try because I'm rusty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's started to cut himself off again. Like Brandon brought up Last Jedi, Luke cut himself off from the Force.
Yeah. Because
Um,
if he wasn't, the Inquisitors could find him. They could
Yeah.
sense him.
right.
Let's talk about the Inquisitors.
But I think it's also an amount of like if he stays completely connected, he can also sense what's going on, and he doesn't want to. He wants to not feel the bad.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to feel.
Yeah.
And that's a really great place where we bring him in. Like, you think about where he is at the end of Rebels, because we do meet him at the end of Rebels, when he's got his lightsaber on and he's connected to the Force, and then where we see him in A New Hope, where he hears the screams of Alderaan. Like, here we've seen him, he doesn't want to feel. So now I'm really interested in the story that brings him back to the full connection to the Force. Like, he is no longer afraid that he's going to get found out.
Mm-hmm.
He is once again trying to become one with the Force, which leads to his inevitable death.
Oh yeah, I bet a combination of hanging out with Leia, feeling her and the destiny that she will have with Luke, fighting Vader, trying to redeem him, not working, but maybe still being able to sense the good that there is there for the future.
Yeah.
If they lay all that out, that it's like mwah, it's like a perfect little cake before the bigger cake.
One of my favorite things about Rebels is when Ahsoka almost brings back Anakin. There's that duel that they have in the Sith Temple where Anakin is so close to coming back to the light side. You can see it. His eyes change color. But it's not Ahsoka's destiny to do that. It's Luke's. And I'm excited to see the possibility of a similar moment with Obi-Wan, where Obi-Wan has to have that realization, it's not my destiny to bring this man back.
Yeah. And eventually see like, oh, I'm going to have to die for his child.
Yeah.
On a big star. Big death.
Guess I'll just die then.
Guess I'm dead. Yeah.
Well, he'll be at peace with it, because at that point he's talked to Qui-Gon and he's like, oh, I'll be more powerful. I'll be a ghost.
Oh yeah.
I'll just be a ghost.
Also the combo of Vader, Leia, and Qui-Gon of like, you can do this, my guy. Like, oh, thanks, Liam.
Yeah, I don't see how they don't end that recap with that button and not bring back Qui-Gon.
Yeah.
Let's
talk about
the Inquisitors.
The Grand Inquisitor. All 5 minutes of them, real quick.
I didn't hate his design when I was watching it this time.
Once it's in motion, I didn't hate it either. It was more about like, does he portray the character? Not really. He's not really Jason Isaacs at all, which is fine. It doesn't matter because it looks like he's probably dead.
He's got a little bit of a Christopher Walken in it.
Well, so it's interesting if he's dead, because he's dead in Rebels.
Yeah, that's another thing where they're just like, people are speculating that he's not dead. People have this whole thing that like they think Reva is going to become a good guy at the end, and I'm like, I don't know how you kill your main bad guy and then turn to the good side. And we're not doing a Kylo Ren in one season, are we? That's crazy. Because I also don't hope that's.
Sorry, go ahead, Sparkz.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I can't believe that they're ignoring Rebels. I don't think that's the case.
He has to be alive, right?
There's two things here. One, which is that they've already said that they made strives not to contradict what happened in Rebels. Because like we heard the rumors that like Maul may not have been in the script, but was considered for the show for the show at one point. And they were like, no, he dies in Rebels. He can't be in the show.
Yeah.
So like if they already made that concession, then they have to make the concession for something else. The other thing is if Reva turns good, that arc has to be different than the arc that the Inquisitor went on in Fallen Order.
Yeah.
And because I don't want to see just that arc again.
Also, just because like this is the state of the world, this show also opens up like Jedi Fallen Order, where someone has to work a job, because that's all Jedi have to do now. They have to work a job that nobody knows about. So that's not the fault of the show or the game. That's just every Jedi has to be a low income worker with has to be anonymous. I'm like, oh yeah, this is I guess that's all Jedi do.
When speaking of Jedi, real quickly, we touched on a bit about like the show opens on Coruscant, and I was like, oh, Coruscant, I haven't been here in a while. That's cool. Oh, where are we? Oh, it's a Jedi temple. Oh shit, it's Order 66.
Once we saw the kids, I'm like, oh man, it's murder time. I knew it.
I thought that was a really good sequence. I wanted to touch on what Ryan said. Like, if you're a Jedi, you just have to work like don't know me jobs. If you want to hide, But you can clearly also market yourself as a Jedi for jobs.
Yes.
Someone can. Thanks, Kumail Nanjiani.
I'm so glad he wasn't just a good Jedi guy.
Yeah.
I'm so glad because like it's so nice for him to play like a sleazebag because he's always like a nice dude, and I'm like, oh yeah, a sleazebag with a heart of gold.
When he walks in, I knew.
Oh
because
yeah.
you hear the magnets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the sound effects they use for his Force aren't the same sound effects that are used for the Force.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was just like, oh, this guy's a sleazeball, but he's actually trying to help people. He's just trying to get rich while doing it.
Yeah, right. He's got multitudes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that like he's marketing himself as a Jedi, even though he isn't. But clearly he's able to make money off doing that without getting caught.
Because he doesn't have the Force, so they can't actually detect him, probably,
right.
which helps.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I do wonder if before this the Inquisitors were like, is this guy a Jedi? And someone just was like, no. And it's like, okay, whatever. We're not going to deal with this guy then.
Don't give a shit. Don't get paid enough from Vader to do this.
Oh, yeah. I have a question about Reva. So she knows that Anakin is Vader.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting.
How?
I'm not.
You're right. This could be, again, in the Order 66 opening, we see a little black girl in that meeting room as a Jedi. So
I do think that's Reva.
Yeah, so 100% that's Reva. That's why I think I am with her killing the Grand Inquisitor. I don't think they're killing him. I think he will come back and betray her, and then she will end up joining the good side. I don't want that to happen, but that's the trajectory I do see happening. Because otherwise, there's no point in killing that dude. Because either he's dead and that ruins Rebels, or he comes back and tries to betray her. Unless it's just a giant three-way fight between everyone. But like, I don't think she's going to be like a third party.
I'm gonna squeeze on in here and split that up a little bit. I think I don't want to be like predicting the show, but or anything. I think what we could potentially see is that Obi-Wan thinks he can bring her back too, that he can make her good, and maybe he even could. But Vader's gonna kill her.
Oh, Vader will kill her. That's probably
which will be part of how Obi-Wan knows how far gone he is.
That's good. Yeah. I didn't think about that. That's good.
I think that might be our ultimate path that we're going down here.
The thing is, she knows he's Anakin, though.
But real quickly, that's the same story as Fallen Order, though.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So is that like? I guess if it's done well, I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I think it would matter more if it's the, not what's important. No offense to the character. What's important isn't if Reva would turn good or not. What's important is Vader so far gone he'd kill her.
Yeah.
And not care about it. And to Obi-Wan, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's a good
point. But to what Ryan was talking about, it is interesting that she knows who Vader is, because first off, nobody does, and certainly not the Inquisitors have.
The only thing I can think of, and again, I saw this online. She was at the temple and she saw Anakin with the clone troopers. So that put in her mind that he was right. And she just knows that it's him or something. Or they have a much grander relationship that we've let on. Like maybe Reva and Vader are like BFFs. I doubt it. But like,
oh no, actually, yeah, I think you're onto something with the idea that she maybe saw him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's far more likely. And I do hope that they answer that, because I hope that it's not just, well, we really want her to say Anakin Skywalker, so it really hits home for Obi-Wan, and that wasn't the only thinking behind it, because like most people shouldn't know.
Yeah. There's the thing that I really like about the show. Again, going back to like the Rebels connection, one of the things that Rebels did really well for me is the idea that Darth Vader was the boogeyman. They like nobody knows that this person exists. Mm-hmm. Vader, as far as everyone's concerned, Anakin Skywalker died when the Jedi were killed, and not everyone knows that Darth Vader is a real thing. Because certainly Palpatine doesn't want the Senate knowing that he has an apprentice that's going around killing people.
Yeah, most people that meet Vader don't live to tell the tale.
Right, and so like the idea that Vader is this
like the Gorn,
is kind is kind of this boogeyman character that people don't know exists. It is really cool for me to see now in Obi-Wan, because then you have this moment where, of course, Obi-Wan wouldn't know that there's Vader running around the galaxy. That's not public knowledge until post 4. Mm-hmm. I believe only like Tarkin and Thrawn knew, because Tarkin figured it out because he worked with Anakin during the Clone Wars, and Thrawn figured it out because he's an intelligent man.
Hell yeah.
So like, I love that idea of going back to Vader is this thing that people talk about in stories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it is like, I do hope we get, like, I want so much Darth Vader now that we're here, because like he is so complex. Now that we know he is an evil man who becomes good again, I just want to see him wrestle so hard. Like, this is the period where he's being tested the most. All of his friends and family are dead, so I'm just a murderer. That's who I am. So like, the first time he's really conflicted, like, oh, my brother's here. So he definitely, when Obi-Wan says like Anakin at the end, did they feel each other? Is that the impression you guys got? Like Anakin's eyes open, or is that just dramatic flair?
I think it might be dramatic flair, but
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with it being that they feel each other.
Like he's thinking so intensely on it, like
or that,
Anakin,
or just Anakin feels him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, I think Obi-Wan potentially opens himself back up to the Force.
Yes.
You know, knowing Anakin's alive. And like against his will, even wanting to reach out. And Anakin's like, gotcha.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. I watched it twice. Both times I got chills when she says Lord Vader will kill you, and you just see Obi-Wan, the realization on Obi-Wan's face as his eyes get bigger, like
putting it together. Yeah,
because he has this moment where he's got this like PTSD where he's just kind of like starting to breathe harder, and he realizes like Anakin is alive.
Yeah, why would this guy Vader be after me? Like, he's been looking for you. Who would be looking for me? Oh,
yeah, he has this great moment. He has this, and Obi-Wan doesn't say another word like until he gets into the cargo hold where he just says Anakin. And like
that's all the more reason why like I really hope that Reva line isn't just tossed in there to drive home the Anakin thing, because like you could have just had Obi-Wan say Anakin after she said Lord Vader, and that would have been plenty, because he knows that Vader is Anakin.
Yeah.
And like the Force presence thing I think could work.
Well, but you're right, because he saw Palpatine name him Vader through the and Revenge of the Sith. Vader. So he knows that Vader is.
That's true.
Yeah, because Yoda even says before he goes there, like, Anakin is gone, only Vader
remains.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
I know that because I just played Lego Star Wars Revenge of the Sith level.
There you go.
Hey, there it is.
Let's talk about great little. I knew it was gonna happen. I didn't know where though. Oh, go ahead. Go first.
I said I wanted to actually bounce back to the Grand Inquisitor real quick.
Oh, because absolutely. I think
he looks fine in motion. It's you know what, he looks good, but it's that I know we could have done better.
Yes,
that's really what it comes down to, is that I'm like, yeah, but I know we could have put the work in and we just didn't, because his head should be bigger. His head should look like the people on Utapau in episode 3, and we could have done it. We could have done the work.
We got a trailer for the new Star Wars game that has another one of those species as like an evil senator. He looks big and ugly too. And I'm like, why can't we just be uniform? Can't we just be uniform?
Is that another one of his species? I thought that was just the Grand Inquisitor again.
No, it's confirmed he is a member of that species. He's part of the Senate.
I only watched that trailer once.
It's all PG. It's not important.
I thought it was I didn't see what you're talking about, Ryan, but I didn't expect it would be the Grand Inquisitor, because it doesn't look like him.
He's a much larger gentleman. Larger guys, yeah. The thing again, like I know you guys saw it on Twitter, like Rupert Friend said, like, oh, I did no work on this character whatsoever. I did not read anything, look at anything. I'm like, I don't understand that mindset. You're not playing a new character. Like, I just don't get that as an actor. I would want to respect and honor the thing that I'm playing, but I guess I'm not a real actor. Who knows?
That does kind of bum me out, to be honest with you, because it's not just matching the performance of Rebels. It's that I don't even feel like this guy presents the same character that I read in the comics.
Yeah.
Mm.
He's of the Grand Inquisitor. Like, he's just not the same. He's not the same hothead. He's not the same sinister level. He's something else. Yeah. He's like something slightly off and adjacent from what it usually is.
You got a really good point, because there is a sense of the Grand Inquisitor used to be a temple guard for the Jedi, and he was the one who like turned really hard. Like he like broke when he turned to the dark side in a way that the other Inquisitors really didn't.
He
But
was
they're
already
all
on the path to get out of there anyway, probably. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, he probably so like he has this kind of like sinisterness to him that I just don't necessarily get from Rupert Fiend. Now you mentioned something, and I want to kind of, I want to put this out there that like Ewan and Hayden watched Clone Wars to prepare for this show, and like that's the thing that where I'm kind of like, Rupert, buddy, you got like 3 episodes with the Grand Inquisitors and Rebels. He could have done it. They watched the whole fucking Clone Wars.
That's why I'm worried that he is dead in this first episode, because like he feel like he's not even in the show enough to warrant that much. He has like 5 lines, right? Like if he's not in the entire show, then like what's the point of doing all this research? I guess.
I just don't think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead either, but that's also like ruins it. Like it's such an interesting choice.
I don't think that they killed the Grand Inquisitor in the show, but like,
yeah,
I hesitate to say that they handled him the best.
Yeah. I like Reva though. I think Reva's a cool character.
Me too.
She does.
I like the other Inquisitor that we see a lot of as well.
Han.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Han.
Yeah. I didn't recognize him at first. I heard the voice. I was like, oh shit, Han.
Yeah.
I love all. There's also like another sister that we see who has like cool like hair like tattoos or something. She was very cool. Inquisitor designs are awesome. I love evil Jedi.
My favorite new addition to canon in Star Wars are the Inquisitors. And like I love them so much. I wish you could retcon Episode 4 to put the Inquisitors in them, because like I really love those characters. So seeing them in live action is still really cool. And like even if he's the Grand Inquisitor and look only, like it's still really cool to see just the concept of the Inquisitors
spinning lightsabers
in a live action sequence. Okay, here's a good point. Here's something that I just remembered. I don't think he's dead because he mentioned that he flies with his lightsaber. We don't see that in these first 2 episodes.
He says the actor said he flies?
Yeah, because the lightsaber, his lightsaber specifically acts like a helicopter.
Oh yeah.
And so like he says that he does that in the show.
All right, I believe you, Rupert. Don't be lying to me.
So
I also don't think that they brought in the character to take him out like that soon.
Well, I think
he's serving.
Then I've seen Kingpin and Cad Bane go out the exact same way. So
yeah, no, for sure. But I think this is a earlier point in the show than those 2.
Yeah.
And a different team that makes me have more faith in what they're doing.
Oh yeah.
And again, like that there's just Brandon's right. Like there's no way that they were like, well, we're going to respect Rebels continuity for Darth Maul, but screw it for the Grand Inquisitor. Like that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That's true.
I will bring up a nitpick of something I don't like about the show, which is that it's mostly in the first episode. There are these sequences where the camera does this kind of thing. It kind of doesn't stay. The one that really stood out to me was the scene where the Jedi approaches Obi-Wan in the sand.
Oh, you're right.
At night. And it just like the camera just keeps kind of moving like this on them rather than just stopping. And I honestly found it too distracting. I did not like it. I don't like when the camera does do that. I don't think it's adding anything. It just is making my eye have to refocus.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I didn't like it, and I didn't understand it as a camera choice. I'm like, there's no reason that the camera can't just stop moving right now. I don't know what we're doing. That's just a small criticism, but it was notable enough for me to take me out of the experience. May
I bounce off with a camera choice that I liked?
Yeah.
Every time we see Obi-Wan, cut off the fish thing, progressively through the show, it gets closer. We keep getting closer on him, showing that he's kind of like deciding what to do, when after he's approached by the Jedi and then by Bail and then by like he's still deciding, like that it's like that responsibility, that Jedi code that Grand Inquisitor is talking about, that itch is getting closer to him. Like it's getting harder for him to fight it. And that's done because of that's shown to us because the camera keeps getting closer to his face,
and he keeps stealing a little bit of meat for his doggy friend, his big doggo.
Yeah, and also so that making some money so that he can get a little toy ship. Did you guys recognize that toy shit?
I did recognize that right away.
What a nice man. Owen, be nicer to Obi-Wan.
Owen has this. There's this great scene where Owen, Joel Kinnaman's great. The way we've seen
Joel Edgerton.
I knew it was Joel something.
What a joke.
He has this great bit where he's talking to Reva, and he says he's not protecting Obi-Wan. He kind of is. He is, and like Obi-Wan has this moment where he's trying to figure out if Reva kills him, I have to step in.
Mm-hmm.
But he's trying to figure out how to do that without cueing them to Luke.
Right.
And so like I really like that. There's a lot of good tension in the show that I really like in the second episode also. But like in the first episode of Reva being so psychotic, like I'm going to kill this farmer and his whole family, and Obi-Wan being like, well, shit, I guess here we go.
Oh, this is real. What do I do? Yeah. It's really good tension. And I love the Han Solo brother. He's just like, Reva, chill out, bro. I know I'm evil, but like we have limits. Yeah,
like the Inquisitor's like, I know we're evil, but girl, calm down.
No murders.
This is not the way.
The evil way.
And it's just going back to like tension building, like the scene where Leia is running from Obi-Wan in the second episode is a great sequence, just constantly ramping up tension until you get to him reaching out with the Force to help her from falling. Is a wonderful sequence, I thought.
Yeah. I'm glad that we don't really shy away from Owen kind of sucks.
Yeah.
Because realistically, like Owen sucks enough that like Luke cares that they died, but really they were a chain anchoring him to the planet that he's happy to be free of.
I mean, you see him like he's running away to go have fun.
Right.
He has to run from Owen to go play pilot.
Like he doesn't want them to get killed in the process, but he's ready to get the F out of there. Like
he's ready to go to Tashi Station at age 10, man. Oh,
yeah, right.
Yeah, there is a sense that like it's not the movie's fault because A New Hope moves at such a clip that you just don't really think about that. But like nowadays, like he could have mourned a bit.
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, it's there's a lot that happens in that movie for sure, but like it's Owen's weird self-righteousness about how they're handling this is always just a little. I'm just glad that they're sticking to like this is who Owen is. Owen kind of sucks and doesn't get it.
Yeah, and
because like he didn't go out of his way to save Shmi, did he? Shmi? No, he did not. And then him just being like, I care very much about the fact that my stepbrother, who I met one time, got murdered by this Jedi old man who brought a baby to my door that I love a lot. And F you, Obi-Wan, for ever putting this on our family. I also love this boy. What?
I mean, it is a lot, but like in a way, I don't want to say it's like realistic, but like if you were just a farm couple and then you had thrusted upon you the child of the biggest murderer of the universe, like I feel you'd have some reservations. I get it, and also he has to become the big boy that he is in A New Hope.
Does Owen know? Does Owen know what happened, or do you think that Obi-Wan just said that someone named Darth Vader killed Anakin?
Well, because he says like he trained his father, so he has to know.
Well, I don't think he knows that. That Vader and Anakin are the same person.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, he might not know that, but like he still got his father killed.
Because that's also the lie that he peddles to Luke, that Obi-Wan peddles to Luke in The New Hope, that like a person named Vader killed Anakin Skywalker.
Yeah, it's far more likely that what Owen this is why Owen sucks. That Owen is just like you didn't train him good enough, and that's why he got killed. And that's Owen getting on his like shit about it, that he seems to give a big F about Anakin, and the fact that Obi-Wan didn't train him good enough and that got him killed. And he's like, and you Jedi led him to ruin. That's what happened. He was a good boy. I met him that one time and he was a good boy.
He killed all those Tusken Raiders like a good boy.
I bring this up more as like a point. Like people have talked about like how you could improve the prequels and shit. And I'm like, Owen really should have been Anakin's best friend.
Oh, sure.
Like he should have had some kind of like Owen should have been to Anakin what Bail Organa is told to be to us to Obi-Wan. Like
Sure.
that's the relationship that should have existed. So like they didn't need to be actual brothers or actual family. Anakin just needed to have a good enough relationship with him that's the relationship dynamic that you would make between him and Luke, and therefore that's why Owen would hate what happened to Anakin so much, because he actually gave a shit about Anakin.
Yeah. I don't know how much like I would love it. I don't know how much like Owen content they're trying to pump out for us. But like I agree, it would be nice to see like, because again, it's been 10 years since Revenge of the Sith, and even though Owen knows that shit went down and the Jedi aren't at fault, 10 years later, who knows? Some of that propaganda might have got into his brain. Maybe thinking upon it more, it was a bad idea to train him at all, so he hates the Jedi for what happened. Like,
there's two things that you said that I want to touch on. One is that it's Owen being a shit. That's in the comics. That's whenever we do the Obi-Wan flashbacks in the Jason Aaron run for the Marvel comics. That's very much the same thing, which I really appreciate keeping that thread. The other thing is the Jedi propaganda. Reva says the Jedi failed you; they abandoned you.
Yeah.
And what I really love is, here's the thing: it's very strange, realistically, that in 10 years the Jedi went from pretty much everywhere in the galaxy to a myth that everyone hates.
Yeah.
And so like what the workaround was to say that actually Mace Windu and the Jedi Order were always plotting to overthrow the Republic, and they were terrorists. Actually, the Jedi were terrorists, and so like that anti-Jedi propaganda has been peddled for 10 years. And has reached the outer rim, where the Jedi were already kind of myths, even when they were everywhere during the Clone Wars. Like, so it's so like I'm sure some of that got to Owen, where he's just like, you know what? Yeah, the Jedi sucked. They killed my brother. I'm done with this. They suck.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a funny and interesting tactic to have that, but also in the same episode we get the Grand Inquisitor doing the
sure
a Jedi comes upon somebody in trouble, can't help but help them. What dickholes, you should all sell them out. Like,
yes,
these assholes out here just helping people out of the goodness of their hearts. Like,
they failed you by trying to help you.
The fact that you can get both those messages out of the Inquisitors is like, wait.
Right. And because like, well, I think like the Grand Inquisitor knows what's up. Like he knew the Jedi, but Reva if Reva is the Padawan learner that we were thinking of, that even anti-Jedi propaganda could have seeped into her brain because she was so young when she was taken.
Sure, I mean, you become an Inquisitor for a reason.
Yeah, and so the Grand Inquisitor.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So the Grand Inquisitor talking about that, because he has firsthand experience. He was an adult. He was in the temple. He was like, yeah, the Jedi were great, and now he's a bad guy. So like he has that firsthand experience. So that's coming from his experience, whereas Reva is peddling the propaganda. I think probably that might be the logic there, or I could be stretching.
No, yeah, like I firmly believe that like we saw that opening sequence on purpose. Like she was a child who became an Inquisitor, and like I'm sure her journey is going to be long and sad, just like Obi-Wan's.
Just like everyone's really.
Yes, like true. Everyone. Everyone between 3 and 4 had a rough time.
Yeah, it was just not a good time.
But
this is my favorite era of Star Wars, between 3 and 4, and I'm happy that we're getting like a show just like in the middle of it.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job with setting up the style flare of it. I just think it's very funny that like you could be a citizen in that room when the Grand Inquisitor did that, and then on the streets later when Reva does her part, and it'd be like, well, wait a minute, did they abandon us, or are they here in our hour of need?
Did they help us, or did they abandon us?
Inquisitor, explain.
Did you guys see in that scene? You probably didn't see this, but do you guys know who Steele Saunders is? He's a Star Wars guy. He's in this show.
He had a little cameo.
He had a little cameo. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest Star Wars guys. Absolutely, like very, very good for him. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna go through some of my notes real quickly.
We have not talked about Tamora Morrison showing up as a clone.
I was gonna get to it, and then we bounced off. Yeah.
A clone veteran.
The 501st clone veteran.
Yeah.
I never thought. I always hoped that we'd see him show up as Captain Rex.
Sure.
I never realistically thought we'd see Tamora Morrison as a clone.
Right.
And he doesn't have a name. They asked him, and he's like, "I wish they would have gave him a name. That would have been nice." He's just a nameless clone.
He has this whole idea of like where because like we know that the clones were cast aside for real people, for the stormtroopers, and so like seeing this beaten clone veteran who Obi-Wan knows probably killed all of his friends.
Oh yeah.
And he's just like, yeah, all right. And he just tosses him a couple of credits.
Thanks for the coin.
It's a good moment. It's a very good moment. It's a very good character moment. It's a very good fan service moment because if you know, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I want to talk that reminded me of in the Jedi Order in the temple on Coruscant, where you hear over the loudspeaker, "Execute Order 66" over and over again, and that is haunting.
Yeah.
The clone veteran, great.
We talked about earlier the 5-minute preview today on Star Wars. That's the best of prequels have ever looked, in my opinion. That is such a good montage of like, here's everything, just the minute everything you need to tell the story of how Anakin became here. Like, he was a kid, he was a teenager, he became bad, and I'm like, man, there's something there. All right, yeah, I get it.
And they parrot really well. Like when he quote unquote kills Anakin, and you're just like, there's a shot of Jake Lloyd as Anakin is burning, and like, oh.
And all the dream stuff of like super heavy, like Anakin, Kid, Vader, blah blah. I'm like, man, good.
And the dream stuff looks like I noticed the second time it looks like when Anakin was having the premonition of Padme's death.
Oh, the visions, yes.
And so like he's having very similar dreams, but of his PTSD of killing Anakin in Order 66. Speaking of Padme, he does say that Leia reminds him of Padme. That's a sweet moment.
That was nice.
So many people on the internet are convinced he's talking about Satine, but sorry, y'all.
No, it's Padme.
Animated stuff is not important in these shows as much as you want it to be. I'm sorry.
But the thing is, like, it wouldn't make sense if he was talking about Satine because the moment is supposed to be that he knew her mother. He knew her real mother.
That is going over their heads. That it's like he's talking about her mom, guys.
Yeah, and so like because that's why he doesn't. Because if it was Satine, he would have been like, there was the Mandalorian. I know, like that dialogue would have gone differently. But he specifically doesn't say who it is because he doesn't want to reveal that Leia is not an Organa.
Yeah.
And so like he can't be like, yeah, it was your mother. Like he's not going to do that.
Even though she knows it.
Even though she knows it. Yeah. But like he's not going to say like yeah, I'm talking about your mother. He's like, oh, it's just this woman I used to know. It's like it's definitely clearly supposed to be Padme.
Dead mother.
Right.
We'll never discuss this.
And like there's no way that Leia would remind him of Satine because it's just like
they're not.
She's not Satine's kid.
Yeah. And yeah, Jimmy Smith's Bale does have a good moment, like where she's like, "I'm not an Organa." He's like, "You are more Organa than anyone here, baby. Don't you worry. Adoption's amazing. Don't think about that. I love it.
I love seeing Jimmy Smith so much as Bail Organa. I was just so happy.
He's one of the characters who has, I mean, now that Obi-Wan's here, but like he's been everywhere. He's all over this effing thing. He's from Rogue One to Episode 1, basically. Like he's everywhere.
Yeah, right. Justice for the prequels, man. Because like we're getting Mon Mothma and the Andor show. Like hell yeah!
Dude, like, oh my god, it's gonna be a Mon Mothma like political show. Hell yeah!
We never talked about it. But the Vanity Fair piece where we see Mon Mothma. I'm sorry, Mom Mothma.
Mommy Mothma.
My God.
Cool.
That woman. Oh, okay.
Let's see.
Oh, the lizard bounty hunter. That's a cool design.
Oh yeah, he was like a dinosaur man.
The dinosaur lizard bounty hunter. That's cool. There's also the four-legged sloth. That's huge.
Oh yeah, so many. And then you got Forlom, obviously. Yeah, a lot of cool, like unique looking designs. We saw some Zabraks, which is always nice to see because like people think that like Darth Maul is the only one. Like, no, guys, that's a whole species. They got big.
Boy,
big
do I got a character for them? Savage Opress.
Oh, I wish the animated stuff was more important.
And like that's the thing. If anything was going to make the animated stuff important, it would be Obi-Wan. So going back to like the Inquisitor point, like I just don't think he's dead because like they are making the concessions to match it with Rebels in other places, and so to not do it with the Grand Inquisitor is strange. So I'm sure there's more to that, and he is going to be alive.
I sure hope so because like I don't think the moment that it happens where she kills him, I don't think I'm gonna need a really good payoff. Because otherwise, I'm just like, oh, that's just drama in the first episode of like.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
It's a cool, shocking moment that shows you what Reva is capable of.
Yes.
But like,
having extensive knowledge of the character makes it worse for me, unfortunately.
Right. So like, I don't think it needed to be the Grand Inquisitor. Like, what if it was Han? That's not his name. But like, what if it was Han?
Yeah.
But if he kills Han, she kills Han, and like that serves the same purpose. So I just don't think the Grand Inquisitor. It was chosen to be the Grand Inquisitor for a reason, and it can't just be like, yeah, we're just going to retcon Rebels.
I do hope it is Sparks' thing. Well, I also don't want her to just be a plot point of Vader to kill her. But I do think that is probably what most makes sense.
That's not necessarily the path I want, but I can see it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the obvious or the right necessarily path.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of ways that they can still go with it to unfold her.
Yeah.
Sparks. I've been waiting for this discussion. What is spice?
Yeah, boy, I guess you just get like high out of your mind.
We talked about. I found that so funny, but they're just like, I got some spice. I got some spice from Felucia and Kessel and all these things, and I was just like, what is? Because like I remembered our discussion of Boba Fett, like, what the hell is spice?
It's whatever you need it to be.
We've gotten to the point where we need to explore it, and so like I guess you just get high. You just get really freaking high.
There was a cool little breaking bad
very high, because we get that same guy like being threatened by the Grand Inquisitor later, and he seems sober as shit at that point.
It's a quick high.
Yeah, that's why you need so much.
There is like, again, like there's small moments of like maturity of like seeing like the veteran clone or the drug
I was
dealer.
Someone's daughter once.
Yes, the drug dealer saying, Obi-Wan's like, aren't you? It's someone, or like, what if the dot is like, I was someone's daughter once. I'm like,
you'll never find her. She'll never leave here. I was someone's daughter once.
Horrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, damn, Star Wars, that's ouch. Loved it.
But this is the kind of thing, like going back to the Boba Fett thing, like again, Boba Fett burned me. I was really into it at the beginning because I really liked this where it was going, but then it completely jumped off the cliff for me. Because like the thing is, like, Boba Fett was the show that this should have been, right?
Yeah.
Like Boba Fett was the thing where it was like, that's the wrong sentence, but you kind of know what I'm saying. But like Boba Fett is what should have been. We talked about it. Boba Fett should have been 7 episodes of that episode where he kicks ass, where we finally get the Boba Fett that we learn, like that kind of morally gray Boba Fett, dealing with the dark underbelly of the crime world. And Obi-Wan wasn't necessarily the show that I expected to see that in, and yet it is the one that I'm seeing it in, and I'm happy that it's here.
And it makes sense too.
Yeah, because like he would be there,
Yeah.
but I'm glad we got spice.
It must flow.
There's something I want to talk about.
So Obi-Wan goes to this planet where that girl says this to him, but 10 years later says, Mos Eisley, never a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Something bad happens to that planet, I bet.
Something bad happens in Mos Eisley to top this shit.
Mos Eisley just like gets nuked or something.
Yeah.
So this is a small thing.
Real quick, because that planet that we go to with Leia is essentially, because this is how Star Wars works, seedy crime planet, the planet.
Yeah,
like that's its aesthetic everywhere. Is just it's seedy crimes all the time.
You know what? Zara brought this up to me. It's Madripoor.
Oh yeah,
it's Madripoor, the planet.
Do you think it's eternally night there? Because I do.
Probably.
It's got to be seedy and neon all the time.
Hell yeah, love it.
It's like the underbelly of Coruscant when we see it in that.
But just that all the time, baby, all the time.
So this is gonna be a small thing, but it's something that I really dislike about Mandalorian and the sequel trilogy to an extent. The way that those do lightsabers. So in the sequel trilogy, they started using basically these. They started using these for their lightsabers. George Lucas used sticks, and then The Force Awakens started using these LED things to kind of get the light source right. And because of that, it doesn't look right to me. And this is going to be super nitpicky. This is going to be super just a me problem. Like, it just doesn't quite look right to me. There's something about it that looks too solid. That doesn't quite look like it's a a beam made out of pure light. It looks like it is something coming from a light source, coming from a and so I have that issue when I saw Ahsoka in Mandalorian. Very similar way they did that. And then the Darksaber kind of feels the same way, but the Darksaber kind of gets a pass because of its unique blade design.
Yeah, it's different.
Obi-Wan now does something that I really love that it brings back from the prequels, which is that the blades are flickering. You see the slight flickering in the blades. It doesn't quite look like a solid blade anymore. It's very much like it very much looks like it's being a projected light outside of off of the hilt. And I missed that look, and I didn't quite realize how much I missed it until I saw Reva's lightsaber extend in this episode so far.
I certainly didn't.
To be honest, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I didn't. I also don't really. I'll pay more attention to it next time because I'm just kind of it's a lightsaber.
Yeah, it's something that it's just a me thing that I noticed watching. I think The Last Jedi. I realized it. Maybe even The Force Awakens, but like there was just something that was just like the lightsabers just didn't look right to me, and then that kind of kept going when he went into like The Mandalorian with Ahsoka, and so like seeing what I basically see as like the proper look for a lightsaber again in Obi-Wan was just really nice for me.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm glad it works for you. It's all lightsabers aren't why I come to Star Wars personally. So like they all look the same to me.
No, I mean like I said, I preface with it is a me thing.
I know. Yeah, that's like it's a detail I don't think of. So like I will think about it like next time I watch because like I do want to see if there's a difference. Like I honestly haven't even noticed.
It's the flickering that I missed. It's the kind of like Kylo Ren kind of has it because his lightsaber is like all kind of like messed up.
Yeah.
But like it's the what was an imperfection in the original trilogy because they couldn't make the blade look as realistic as it is. They kind of carried that over to the prequel trilogy to make it look like it wasn't necessarily like it's cleaner in the prequel trilogy, but it's not necessarily a solid thing. You still get like the flickering.
I got you. Okay.
And so they kind of lose that in the sequel trilogy, and I'm glad they kind of brought that back.
Yeah, maybe it was a deliberate thing because this is getting closer to the original trilogy. Yeah.
I think so. I really think so. I think it was like we want to go back to like lightsaber. We want to go back to like this
that
design.
Would be on track with Rebels, the Darth Maul appearance episode where Obi-Wan's lightsaber is the same lightsaber it's been in the prequel films, but somehow turns into the like very toothpick thin
the thin
version that it is in A New Hope. Yeah.
I like lightsabers, guys. Okay, anyway, that was a weird hang up that I didn't want to spend too much time on.
Oh, it's cool.
I think that's all my notes. Oh, I did say bye, Flea, because he gets killed.
That was a fun little.
I love the Inquisitor blades. Just
oh yeah, I do too. It's very menacing. I love the plan that Obi-Wan obviously falls for because he's a hero and it's what he's gonna do. But like Flea's like, wow, you really fell for that? Like we kidnapped this girl to get to you? Like, wow.
What's really cool about that? Sorry, Sparkz, real quickly. It's just like Reva doesn't know the importance of Leia. She's just like, oh yeah, Bail and Obi-Wan are friends. I'll just kidnap Bail's daughter, and that will lure Obi-Wan out. But she doesn't quite know what she's done.
And the truth is that, like, if she weren't who she was, like, Obi-Wan would have been like, sorry, no.
Yeah.
It's clear that she's like a Vader fanboy because she's trying to get Obi-Wan to give to Vader so she can get like a +1 in his friendship, right? Or whatever. She thinks he's the coolest. She has his daughter and she doesn't even know it. Oh my God, that's so spicy. Oh man.
And to be fair, Vader doesn't even know it. Vader could see her and she just wouldn't know.
Yeah, he wouldn't. Sister.
Oh, Kumail Nanjiani is really good in this. I know we talked about it, but like he's got this bit where he's trying to stop Reva, and he's got like, so what's the bounty on me? 1 million, 2 million.
Like I did have a force.
I agree. I did have one other nitpick with the rooftop battle, mostly because of Reva. Because Reva starts coming for the blaster fire on the roofs. Oh. And somehow doesn't make it there.
So that's the thing. She does sick parkour. Awesome parkour. She's doing front flips, and then she's not even near the battle.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
That was very weird to me. I was like, everything she's doing based on where she was looking at the fire when she started.
Yep.
Tells me that she should have made it here. If not before Obi-Wan got down from the roof, certainly by the time that he did.
Yeah, there's like a cutscene or something, because like I also felt that I'm like, wait, why isn't she here?
Yeah.
What was all that running for?
You reminded me of something because in that sequence she like pushes down a thing. She like pushes down a thing with the Force.
Because that's the whole thing. Is like it's jumping between like Leia is gonna go off the roof, Obi-Wan's getting shot at, Reva's coming.
Here she comes.
These two things keep cutting, and then Leia goes off the roof. Obi-Wan gets down from the roof. He shot the two guys, and Reva never arrived. I don't know why we were watching her then.
She stopped for a shawarma.
Yeah, space shawarma.
There's something that I also really liked in this movie that I kind of missed, and we do get it with Luke and Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, so I won't necessarily say that too much. But casually using the Force, like when Reva's about to kill the Jedi, and you just see the Grand Inquisitor just stop her with using the Force with the blade. Like I forgot how much I missed just kind of like watching a movie and then just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna open a door now. Yeah, just whatever, just gonna float this pair over to you, no worries.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I want to float.
I want to float. Yeah, I thought that the Leia asking all these questions with Obi-Wan and then like not believing him and then thinking that like she basically realizes that she was captured to get to him.
Right.
And so I thought that was all good drama, not forced. It was just really solid, like a character moment that led to some good tension, that led to a good reveal.
She's a very smart 10-year-old girl, but maybe one of her dumbest moments is, oh no, person who saved me could be trouble. I will run on this dangerous planet. Goodbye.
Yeah. When she said when he goes, how old are you? I'm 10. It's like, you should know that you were there when they were born.
I think he does. I think he's just being cheeky.
Probably.
I mean, I'm sure he knows. He's watched Luke for that whole time. I'm sure he knows exactly how old she is. He's just like, you just don't talk like a 10-year-old.
He must have some leg issues, because how he can't catch a 10-year-old girl is beyond me. But that's besides the point. She's very
because there were people getting in the way all the time.
She's so small, so tiny.
I like he's using a blaster. I like that he's using a blaster because it pairs up with like where he's at in A New Hope and even in Revenge of the Sith, where he's like, oh, so uncivilized.
He is uncivilized now.
Yeah, because he doesn't want to ignite his lightsaber, because like, if I do that, it's over. If I use the Force, if I ignite this lightsaber, it's over for me.
The first punch he throws, he's like, oh shit, I haven't done that in 10 years.
But did you see the next one where he just like uppercuts the dude, just knocks him out right away? Oh my god! I was like, damn, dude.
He's gonna do this one day. He's gonna do this to Anakin.
Because he does the because he fights the Zabrak and he stabs his hand on the horn as he's like pushing him down.
Yeah.
That was good. I like the show. I like the show a whole lot. I really hope it continues. I think these 2 episodes are very strong. I'm glad they paired them both together.
Yeah, and again, this was all the marketing, so it's all fresh new shit from here on out, basically. Which is
and
so
they
exciting.
did such a good job with the marketing to hide Leia entirely.
Yeah. Because we even see this planet in episode 2, but never once did we see Leia.
Oh yeah, they do the good Disney thing of like anytime she would be on screen, she's just photoshopped out of there.
Yeah, there's a handful of shots that we still haven't seen, but they're a handful at this point.
Oh, sorry, to the Inquisitor, like the Grand Inquisitor place.
Yeah,
so that's true.
There's a few, but not many. So it'll be interesting to see. This is one of those things like when we were talking about the trailers on the podcast, where the second one came out, and I said, we didn't really see a lot new. I'm happy about it because they're hiding stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm happy to be happy with the show.
Me too.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. Like I was gonna watch it regardless, but after Boba Fett, I was just like, oh man, please, Obi-Wan's gotta be better than that, man. Come on. And thankfully they know what they're doing with this one, it feels like.
It's just I've been so burnt out by like this is not a fair comparison, but like Halo, which is a property that I really love, just completely destroyed something that I love. Boba Fett, which is something I was really excited for, just completely jumped off a cliff. I was just like, if Obi-Wan isn't good, I swear to God,
we got problems.
And like the Marvel shows, like I like, but I'm struggling with them in general. And so like Obi-Wan had to be the one where I was like, this is, as a prequel purist from the time I was a child, this needs to be something.
Yeah. Yeah, the second I saw Order 66 happening in the opening seconds of the show, I'm like, all right, you're at least trying something here. That's really nice.
And it's really nice that they don't shy away from drug abuse, veteran abuse. Like they are telling a story that exists in the seedy underworld of Star Wars, and they're not shying away from that.
Oh yeah, seeing live action clone troopers is always fascinating.
Yeah, I forgot how shit the clone trooper armor looked in the prequel trilogy, because like now we're seeing like the live action ones because they finally built the armor for the first time ever. And I'm like, oh damn, that looks good.
And then again, not to talk about a trailer we haven't talked about on the regular show, but Andor has clone troopers pre-becoming stormtroopers, so they're all just white. So it's white clone troopers. And I'm like, oh, this is right before the real switch happens. That's excellent.
Yeah. I don't did we mention that Tamora Morrison was wearing 501st armor?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we did.
501st being Anakin's thing.
Vader's fist.
Kind of like gets to me like, okay, so Tamora Morrison's going to show up as Captain Rex, right?
Maybe not here.
Yeah,
maybe not here. Maybe not here. Yeah. But like it's going to happen, right?
Yeah, if they didn't do this cameo, I'd be like, oh, he's showing up in a more significant role. But once they did this one, I'm like, all right, that was probably the one.
Yeah, I think that Ahsoka show has got Captain Rex, and it's
the Ahsoka show. Oh yeah. That is the show where all of that animated shit is really going to matter. I think
he's going to be old as balls.
Hell yeah!
If he's in the Ahsoka show.
Hell yeah!
Yeah, but clones age fast. That's true. That's true. Actually,
he's only look how old and shitty this clone was.
No, I mean that clone would have to be old, like older than Tamora Morrison. Old.
That's true. That is true.
Old in Rebels.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
White beards, gray beards.
I really like Captain Rex. There's something that I wanted to say about like the clone trooper armor. We first saw live action, like real clone trooper armor in Boba Fett. Mm-hmm. Mandalorian season 2. Where was the flashback with Grogu?
Mandalorian. Yeah.
So that's the first time we see like real clone trooper armor that we because it's all CG in the sequel trilogy. There's not a real piece of clone trooper armor made for that movie, and so they did that for this. But every time we've seen it, it's always been 501st.
I'm sorry, no, it's Book of Boba Fett.
Hey,
it's Luke. It's Luke who makes Grogu remember.
Oh, okay, you're right.
Okay, cool.
But what I find is interesting is that no matter what, that armor has always been 501st. It's never been anyone else. It's not Cody. It's not anyone. Who was the red dude? I forgot the red dude's name. But like, it's always 501st. It's always Anakin's battalion.
Vader's fist. They're super famous. I'm gonna be playing the Battlefront 2 campaign over again, probably on streaming. That is Vader's the 501st from episode the beginning of episode 3 all the way to episode 6, and it's like all of them how they became Vader's fist, and then they
like
still got to be Vader's fist afterwards. Huh?
Like old Battlefront?
Yeah, old Battlefront.
Oh, okay, cool.
2005 Battlefront, where Tamora Morrison the narrator through the whole thing.
Yeah.
When it's really shitty to think about this, but like the 501st Legion was Anakin's like friends. And like he gave that to Ahsoka. He gave like a battalion to Ahsoka, and he took the rest to kill all the Jedi. And then he's like, and then when Palpatine's like, we're not going to use clones anymore, we're going to use real people. The 501st Legion still exists, but none of them are clones. The Stormtrooper 501st are real people, and it's just funny to me that like Vader still keeps a troop called the 501st, even though none of them are the original 501st.
Well, I guess the video game isn't canon anymore, Disney, because he keeps some of those clones around as long as he can before they die.
Oh yeah, that was they were trying to reconcile with it, but like new canon has been like Palpatine did away with the clones after the Clone Wars.
I will allow it for canon. I'm gonna be my head canon that at least a couple of those bad boys stuck around as long as they could, because I can't forget that Battlefront 2 campaign. It's so good.
Because otherwise they become homeless veterans.
Yeah, because that's the thing that like the clones, because of their accelerated aging and because of how much it would cost to make them, it's said in Bad Batch. Bad Batch is the one that deals with this story.
Yes.
Which is that like they just like, we're not going to make any more clones because we're going to use real people, and that's kind of what people clued into when Luke was like, I want to go to the academy. He wants to be a stormtrooper.
Well, it's a little more because you haven't watched all of Bad Batch yet, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, so it's slightly more complicated. So what's happening is that Tarkin has another admiral in there, and Tarkin is representing Palpatine to lobby. Can you prove to me that training people is better than clones?
Yeah.
And that's like Tarkin's coming in there not liking the clones very much to begin with because they're too expensive.
Right.
But he's also not convinced that people just coming into the military, just like signing up for the service and getting trained, is comparable enough.
Right.
Even if they get the numbers. So he has this other admiral dude who's trying to prove that having the stormtrooper army come in is better for the Empire.
I mean,
and that's part of the point.
We know from their shot output it's not, because they are terrible shots.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw the beginning of this episode, and those clone troopers were just like pew, 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 pew.
I think things get lax over time.
Yeah.
The stuff between everything dealing with like the clones and the Jedi and Vader and all of like the stormtroopers, like everything between 3 and 4 is some of the most fascinating stuff for me in Star Wars. And every single time we get something, especially something good in this era, mwah, chef's kiss.
And with the new Jedi Survivor game announced, that takes place 5 years after the first one. So we're inching even closer to A New Hope in that game. So it's going to be exciting. We're just, this time period is just getting so filled, and it's like, yeah.
I think they confirmed it lines up with Obi-Wan. Like now we're with Obi-Wan.
So when Cal Kestis shows up in the show, we're all not going to be surprised. Because if anyone's showing up, it's probably that guy.
Karen Monahan wants to do it. Hell
I
yeah.
I would be kind of surprised if they detoured to having Cal here in the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah.
I think they want to stay pretty focused.
I would agree, but just like with all the other shows, even though Obi-Wan is kind of special, it's its own thing. Like I can't see them not doing it, because this is the only spot to do it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those, like,
it's the only spot right now.
Well, right now, but like he has a game coming out. Like this is his moment. Like they're not gonna bring him in like the show 5 years from now. Like
he could be an Andor.
He could be an Andor.
He could be an Andor.
It depends if he survives the end of his game, though.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think, I know what you're saying, like, and I think that corporate synergy can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but
yeah,
I do think that they clearly have a specific vision, and if Cal doesn't add to that vision, then he's not in it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I just right now don't see what he would add other than his game is coming out soon. Like, I just don't see it.
I didn't think Leia was going to be in the show, and she added a significant amount. So like, I can't disregard anything.
For sure. But yeah. Leia, like we've already brought up, makes sense. I don't see the path that makes sense for Cal.
Sure. Oh no, yeah, he would be a.
There was a apparently the script that they had almost filmed, because remember they had gone back to the drawing board just before the pandemic started, because apparently that script was a Lone Wolf and Cub story with Obi-Wan and Luke. And they quickly realized, like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
And I'm glad they shifted. They shifted to Leia.
Yeah. Yeah, because like you can't have Luke meeting Obi-Wan and them having a relationship pre-New Hope.
And you can't.
Well, they know each other. They're just not close.
Yeah, but like, having an adventure would make them close, I think.
Sure. Because he doesn't know. He doesn't know that Obi-Wan's a Jedi. Is the important thing. He knows who Ben Kenobi is. So clearly they've met. Maybe even secretly met when Owen wasn't looking.
Ben's a kooky old man who lives out beyond the Dune Sea.
But he doesn't know that he's a Jedi.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that he's a Jedi. And he would have to know he's a Jedi if Luke went on this galactic adventure that Leia is now going on.
I'm picturing like all the comical scenarios to make it so that Luke can't see when he does Jedi stuff, and like Ben's like trying to hide it from him. Like,
he's like, look, what's that over there?
yeah.
I still hope for a Clone Wars flashback. That's my last thing. I want a Clone Wars flashback. I hope we get it. If not, fine.
I'm gonna Vince McMahon freak out if that happens.
We got an episode 3 flashback, so I can guarantee at least something to.
If we see Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen in that armor, I'd flip.
Dude, if we get General Kenobi armor, it's over for everyone. It's over.
What if it's Reva, like when the very first day she started as a youngling, and like Obi-Wan and Anakin were heading out on a mission that day in their Clone Wars armor?
I'm just saying, guys, you don't get Hayden Christensen just to put him in a bunch of prosthetic and an armor.
Absolutely. No, I agree. And
no,
again,
you don't. Although he has also said, but please do that. I want a Darth Vader spinoff.
Yes, that's true. Anakin, the whole saga is your spinoff.
Yeah, I don't think he'd be so into the marketing and the interviews if he wasn't a bigger part of the show. So like, I fully expect at least something flashbacky, whether it's episode 2 or 3 or whatever. Like, I fully expect them. You don't get him back without doing that.
It's such an interesting case because like he's returning, but like it's not like he can return easily as the voice, right? Like you have to do all this work to let him even be the voice, because that's the thing is like it'd be different if like it's just one of those circumstances that's just crazy because of how it works out. But like he could just be like in the suit all the time, but coming back as the voice, and everybody would be like, wow, it's so great that he's back as the voice, but he's not the voice of
James Earl Jones.
Right, exactly. And so like you have to do all this work to make sure that he's able to be a part of it at all levels.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we see a shot of the Clone Wars and Ahsoka and Rex and General Kenobi and General Skywalker.
Ooh. See,
baby.
That's the spiciest thing of them all.
Because like we know Hayden's in Ahsoka.
No, yeah. The thing
we
is
know
like,
that.
Like I expect a flashback, but like if they will respect the animated shows and have a flashback during that time period, and maybe not Rex, but at least Ahsoka, young Ahsoka, that will be a lot for a lot of people. That will be super important to legitimize. Not that they need it, but like people don't care about those animated shows when they're incredible and they're valuable to the product, to the source material.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it'd be nice to have like, because I saw Brandon, like you were talking to someone like they don't want to watch Rebels. They're just not interested.
Yeah.
And I'm like, give it a shot at least. Like it just because it's animation doesn't mean, I promise you, it's not bad.
For me, still, Rebels is my favorite thing that Star Wars has ever made.
It might be mine. I really love that show so much.
Yeah. And just like Clone Wars is incredible. Not only would it go so far to legitimize animated Star Wars properties, which already has an uphill battle, but like it would also just go so far as to be like, boy, this is the greatest show ever.
Because again, having adult Ahsoka, that might not make people watch young Ahsoka. You see young Ahsoka, that legitimizes like, oh, she does exist in this live action world. Maybe I will check that show out finally.
Did you guys see the Ashley Eckstein, Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor panel at Celebration, where she says it's good to see a Sky Guy? I was like, oh,
yeah. She got a raw end of the deal. I firmly believe she'll get her comeuppance somehow. She will get redeemed somehow, whether it's in a live action new character. Even though she should just be the character, whatever.
She should just be Ahsoka, really.
Yeah. I feel like they won't dirty her down.
You know what?
She'll get the Anakin treatment.
You know what's interesting? Sparkz, you bring up James Earl Jones. We've not heard if he's in this show.
He's in the show. He's got to be.
I know, but like it's really strange that they haven't said anything about it. The only thing they have said is that Hayden Christensen is playing Darth Vader. They have never once mentioned James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of like they just kind of go, well, duh.
Sure.
I don't feel like they made a big deal about James Earl Jones coming back in Rogue One either. And we knew Vader was coming back in that. And I don't feel like I remember anybody like going around being like, James Earl Jones is back as the voice of Vader.
It reminds me of like the Justice League marketing where Henry Cavill couldn't say he was in the movie. Like,
oh, sure.
If Darth Vader's in the show, like they're not going to not put Vader.
Would you guys mind it if it was one of the other Vader actors? Because there's a few. There's like 2 or 3 Vader actors. And that's not James Earl Jones.
I personally wouldn't. I think for the quality, high caliber you're going for, you do get James Earl Jones. But like, I personally wouldn't mind.
Whoever did his voice in
Fallen Order?
Is that what I'm thinking of? I think so.
Because it's not Earl Jones in Fallen Order.
No, I know. Wherever it was most recent, because like it's James Earl Jones in Rebels, and that's not it. But like, I think it might be Fallen Order. Whoever was, yes, it is Fallen Order. They're great. Just
They
get
are
them.
great.
Like
'Cause,
if
like-
you can't get Jones, that's who you get.
I can see a world like this is just me like thinking. Like I could see a world where like James Earl Jones, like, I'm too old. I can't. I don't want to do it anymore.
Sure, that's possible.
I wouldn't mind. I am worried that like Star Wars fans are like, oh, they couldn't get James Earl Jones. I'm like, that dude's also like 90 years old, guys. Relax.
Here's the thing. Like, there's some good Vader voice actors. I think that there's like two of them that aren't James Earl Jones that are very good.
It's also possible. We'll see how this plays out. I would be very convinced this is James Earl Jones' swan song with Darth Vader.
They got John Williams.
If he's back, I would suspect this is his swan song with it.
Yeah.
But if he isn't, then it wouldn't totally shock me because I remember like people talking about Rogue One and like I don't mind it, but I get it. That he sounds too old.
Yeah.
Already as Vader. Like
Mufasa as well.
You can hear it. You can hear it in his voice that he sounds old for the part in Vader. Yeah, it's interesting because like James Earl Jones was reprising all these roles around that time. He came back in Rebels. He was Mufasa in The Lion Guard, and he was in Rogue One, and all these things were kind of happening around the same time. And then he was the voices for all the appearances of those characters, and then he was done.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
You also bring up something that we didn't talk about, which is John Williams. John Williams did do a new theme for this, which I quite enjoy. But I think the music in this all over is actually really good. It feels very classic Star Wars.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not gonna. I need more time with it. I wouldn't say that like the Obi-Wan theme is like it's an all-timer. If I'm being honest, it fits in with Star Wars. It's good. I didn't immediately go, oh, is this Obi-Wan's theme? I had to think about like the repetition of like, oh yeah, this is his theme. I hear it now.
When I listen to it on its own, I quite enjoy it, much in the same way that like I enjoyed the sequel trilogy music. But like I think that the time of an iconic John Williams theme is probably past.
I mean, he's been doing it for so long. Like, how many more do you got, my guy?
I am glad though that he did to be like, you know what, I want to do an Obi-Wan theme. I never did one. I want to do one.
Did he do Solo?
He did. He
made
on Solo
for it.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. Okay, cool. That's that he does all the themes for the characters. That is nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that they were like, you know what, I never did a Han Solo theme, I never did an Obi-Wan theme. I'll just do that because he's not going to compose the whole thing. He's retired, but like to just kind of like give that character the thing he never did. I do really appreciate that he's doing that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, is that everything we want to talk about?
Next episode is Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, my dudes.
That's incredible. I'm so jazzed. I am so ready. Because again, like before the show started, I was like, oh, why do Obi-Wan and Darth Vader have to meet? Blah, blah, blah. But like 10 years, 20 years is a long time. 10 years is also a long time. That's a long time.
Now I'm like, I can't wait for Obi-Wan and Anakin to meet.
Now I'm like, I need this yesterday. I just needed to be presented in like a good way. And like, this is better, even better than I could have anticipated. Because again, the Leia stuff works. And like it makes A New Hope feel even richer upon rewatch after I finish this Obi-Wan show. I'm like, oh man, it is all connected in a good way.
And again, like it helps that look, if you take Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, it lines up fine. It doesn't line up great. There's some things that just are kind of strange with what they say, but you have the opportunity to now not just make it so that A New Hope and Return of the Jedi match up really well, but now Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi. We have Obi-Wan. You can now have that moment where Vader says in Return of the Jedi, it's like Obi-Wan was thought as you did. You know he didn't. He left you to die.
He straight up did. Totally kicked you to the curb.
He straight up left you to die. He thought he killed you. But now you have that moment where it's like, maybe I could bring back Anakin.
Yeah. Because
I can make up for the sins of my past.
Oh yeah, because like the guilt there of like he could have saved him if he wanted. Yeah. He really could have.
He killed his
like you're a Sith Lord. I got
it. He has lived 10 years thinking that he killed his best friend.
Oof, rough.
And to think
not only that, but he's back and he wants to kill you. Oh, it's so juicy.
And so now to have the moment where you're just like, he now knows he's alive, and having the regrets of being like, I could have tried harder. I could have tried harder to reason with him. I could have tried to make that work. Now having that moment where now Vader is far more lost than he was in Revenge of the Sith. To now have to try again. To now want to try again because you're like, I I can do it. I know I can bring him back. I should have done it then. I'm going to do it now.
And what is exciting is like you do know where this ends. So it's like it's just gonna be real sad, and it's gonna be so. I keep using the word juicy because I think of
juicy.
drama, like X-Men drama, like soap opera drama. I'm so the first time they meet, it's gonna be electric. It's gonna be a Dragon Ball Z electric.
I would love anything that they could do, to even get close to kind of representing the idea of the turmoil in Anakin that we get in the Darth Vader comic, where he's making the lightsaber for himself.
Sure.
And he gets tempted by the idea, like we see him tempted by the idea to stop and go to find Obi-Wan and ask Obi-Wan to kill him.
Yeah.
Oh
you know
God.
what I want to see? Sorry,
bro, hold on. Can you imagine if that moment's in here where like they're fighting and Vader's just like, end it, please, just end it. What?
Can you imagine it the first time they meet each other? He's not in the suit.
No, but holy, yes, that would be crazy, Brandon. Holy shit, Ryan, what a turn that would be. Instead of doing the same thing as the Ahsoka moment with Obi-Wan, instead have Anakin saying, "Please kill me."
Yeah,
and
Obi-Wan not be able to do it.
And then Vader's like, all right, I guess here.
And Obi-Wan can't save him, but Obi-Wan can't kill him either. He won't do it. Oh, that's so good.
That's the juice.
Give me the show yesterday. Give me the show yesterday. Last week, please.
Wednesday. Oh, I gotta wait till Wednesday.
I'm very excited. I'm so happy we're here. I'm so happy it's good. I'm so happy we all like it.
Yes.
I'm so happy I like it.
Same. Good job, Ewan.
Cannot wait. Just so happy
and
to
then
see Ewan McGregor.
And then the hatred that would build in him if Obi-Wan didn't do what he asked, didn't kill him. And that's why when he gets to him again, he's like, when you left me, I was but the learner. Now I am the master.
Let me show you how you kill somebody.
I'm going to kill you for this.
And then even then, Obi-Wan's like, I won't give you the satisfaction.
Oh my God. No. What if on some level you get an acknowledgement that the whole reason why Anakin's been like wanting to find Obi-Wan this whole time is so Obi-Wan would stop him.
These are all great, but we cannot go down this rabbit hole because we might be disappointed in what we actually get.
I mean, I'm excited either way, but wow, what a tempting idea. I didn't even think about like the possibility of switching that situation up and Anakin wanting Obi-Wan to be the one to put it to an end.
I was thinking about how whatever the show does with this conflict, I'm sure I'll be very happy with. But I was thinking about what if Anakin wants Obi-Wan to see him without the suit, to be like, this is what you did to me.
Oh, there's going to be some aspect of that, whether it's by choice or through a fight. We do get the half helmet looking like half.
Like when Ahsoka cut his helmet.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to highlight the moment in Rebels real quickly. For those of you who haven't seen Rebels, you should, because there's a bit where she cuts off part of the helmet, and you hear Matt Lanter's voice, who plays Anakin in Clone Wars, and James Earl Jones' voice overlapping.
Yes,
it's very good.
Again, it's a shame that already happened in Rebels, but I do think something like that will happen in here.
I'm really glad that we're getting this with Hayden Christensen stuff, because I will forever be disappointed that they didn't go for the concept art idea they had of Kylo Ren talking to Anakin and getting the Anakin Darth Vader ghost, like he was trapped between them between what Kylo was trying to call.
Damn you, JJ.
Anyway. I'm very excited for the last 2 episodes of this series, because as I told Brandon the other day, I found out that the episodes were co-written by Andrew Stanton of Pixar history, writing WALL-E, Finding Nemo, Finding Dory, working on Toy Story 4's script.
John Carter.
What are you doing working on Star Wars?
He co-wrote the last 2 episodes of the show, and I'm like,
ooh,
that's a pool, baby.
There's the cantaloupe.
Okay, well, why don't we call it there?
Do it.
Sparkz, you won't be on that last episode.
Probably not.
Yeah. Hopefully something turns up. But we're going to be doing this show every 2 episodes. Because there's a lot of shows out right now. And we have a lot to watch.
There's about to be a lot of Fake Nerds Watch.
I didn't realize that Obi-Wan and Stranger Things came out on the same day. That's bullshit. I wanted to watch Stranger Things.
Brandon and I will talk to you about it later, but like we've worked out a schedule because we're like, this is insane.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing this show 2 at a time. So the next time you see us will be after episode 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then there'll be one after episode 6. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys continue to enjoy the show. I hope we continue to enjoy the show. And until next time, you'll probably watch an Umbrella Academy or The Boys or a Stranger Things or a Miss Marvel. Who knows?
I'm not mad about it, but Jesus.
That's a lot. So like those are all shows that we'll probably do Fake Nerds watches for. So
what a
stay
terrible
tuned.
problem to have.
So stay tuned for all of that. All right, so that'll do it. As far as you know, this is Fake Nerds Watch, guys. We're happy to be here. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Check out our other Fake Nerds Watches. You can check out some of our other things, like we've done all the Marvel shows. We've all done all the Star Wars shows. If you want to check out our Boba Fett review, I think we did the entire season of Boba Fett in one go.
Thankfully.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we've done Mandalorian 2 at a time. Both seasons of Mandalorian 2 at a time, and we've done all the Marvel shows you can check out. Check out all those. We also have a show called Basement Arcade, and where we do it's a video game Let's Play series. We do a video game discussion series called Basement Arcade Pause Menu. We also have an animation show called Animation Station and a comic book club show called Fake Nerd Book Club.
Mm-hmm.
So check out all those shows on this channel, and you can check out our mothership show, Fake Nerd Podcast. I stumbled that Fake Nerd Podcast. If you didn't catch that, that's the show where we do all sorts of things. We talk about news, we talk about movies, we talk about things. This is probably going up after the latest episode, which means that we've just talked about Top Gun Maverick,
Danger Zone,
the latest Tom Cruise flick, and coming up, an entire discussion on Pixar films.
Mm-hmm.
So get ready to watch some Pixar movies. Stay tuned for all of that. That's that. Oh, sorry. There's more Fake Nerds Watches. There's just Fake Nerds Watch for Star Trek Strange New Worlds going out at the same time. I completely forgot about that. I do that with Cookie from Just a Little Podcast. So check that out as well. Okay, so that'll do it. So you can find us on Fake Nerd Podcast on all social media. We have a TeePublic and a Patreon if you'd like to support us there. Fake Nerd Podcast at .com, fakenerdpodcast.com if you want to find all of our links to everything. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. I also write for a Screen Rant, where I put up a few articles. I write for Atomic Geekdom, where I'm going through the 50 greatest moments, 50 defining moments of the MCU. If you're interested in that, and I edit the Kaijirama Media website, their news thing. So check that out. Right.
You could find me everywhere at DJ Tony Snark or live streaming at DJ Tony Snark 616 on Twitch, where I'll probably be playing a Star Wars game. But this is coming out later, so check out the rewind. Beep, boop, boop.
Sparkz.
You can find me at SparkzWitty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty. Just desperately looking forward to that Clone Wars flashback, baby.
Until next time you see us, guys, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, stay fake nerds.
May the Force be with you.